Now, I've often said that living abroad is something that everyone should do, or that is something worth trying, and it is. But perhaps my perspectives are very one-sided, which I can imagine. They're always positive, and perhaps it's just because I'm relatively positive, but I'm also a realist. I just don't like to keep myself down. Doesn't mean that I'm overly optimistic, which can definitely be a curse. Why wouldn't moving abroad be for you? Let's go up here. I'd say if you don't want to rock the boat, because if you move abroad and you stay there or you come back, you will get a lot of questions from your family, from your employers. They'll always ask you why this, why that, why'd you move, especially if you go to a strange country like Bulgaria. What brought you there? If you don't feel like having this type of conversations with each and everyone you meet, perhaps it's not for you. If you want a steady life, perhaps don't move abroad. Because you will at some point lose your job. You will gain and lose friends. You will have lots of temporary friends. You will lose contact with certain people from your hometown. And less people than you would hope will visit you in your new country. Don't do it if you're not prepared for loneliness at some point. Because you will face it someday. No matter how long or how short. Don't do it if you are not comfortable being on your own. Because no matter how long or short, at some point you will be on your own. Don't do it if you're easily shocked and you're not prepared to learn a new language. You either immerse yourself or you don't go, is what I would say. Don't do it if you don't have a burning sensation to go. Don't do it. Go do something else. Moving abroad is not something you must do. It's something you would want to do. And if you do it out of the fear of missing out, I don't think that's wise. Perhaps something else suits you better. Like starting your own company, exploring your own country. Perhaps you'd even like being a tourist guide in your own city, I don't know. There's lots of things that would give you the same sort of adventure and sense of achievement in your own country. And moving abroad is one step further. Don't move abroad if you only do it out of spite for your own country. Because your new country will have different challenges that you're not aware of right now. You'd have to do particularly good research in order to make a good decision. Don't move if you want to only give it one shot and want a permanent solution for your life's problems. Because you can go to a new country, but there's only one person you bring with you and who will accompany you always, and that's yourself. Don't move if you're depressed. Don't move if you're in deep problems. Solve your problems first. Once you're stable, you can consider. If you don't have the space available in your mind to do the research and to make a conscious decision, because it's also a financial investment, don't move abroad. Go do something else. Don't move abroad if you don't want to challenge yourself tremendously. Go do something else. Or challenge yourself half, perhaps in another sort of achievement. Moving abroad is not the end-all be-all of life. Having lived in the south of Italy and starting a bed and breakfast is not all as easy and fun as it seems. Don't move abroad if you're less than 50% certain you want it. And don't move abroad if you don't want to truly come to terms with your emotions, because they will become twice as strong when you find yourself in a foreign country, no matter how close it may seem to your own place. Don't move abroad if you're a shut-in. If you're very, very introverted, you can move abroad, that's fine. But at a certain point, you want to get out. So if you're very introverted, but you have a sense of adventure, like I do, I'm pretty introverted. Or perhaps I don't want to deal with a whole lot of people's nonsense. It's another thing. But I go out, I meet cool people, do sports. So I'm not 100% one-sided on that. Neither is anyone else. I'm not a shut-in, but I am quite introverted. If you never leave your house, if you do only series, eat popcorn, and go to bed after work, Life Abroad is not for you, because it will not add anything to your life. If you want to go out, learn Spanish, dance salsa, and go drink some wine on the terrace on a sunny evening, if that makes you feel better than an evening on the couch, perhaps it is for you. You have to make that conscious decision. Don't move abroad if you want to stay the same as everybody else. Because you are going to be different. And you are later going to be unable to relate to many people in your own city. You can even become quite unrelatable for your family yourself. It quite depends. There's an abandoned house here. An old Giza, I believe. An old villa. Villa German, it says. I guess it's abandoned, but not for long. Don't move abroad if you don't care for it. If you have a longing sense for exploring, for seeing places like this, if that tickles you, you could move abroad. But if you don't give a toss, Don't move abroad. There's definitely still people here. Or not. No, it doesn't look like it. It's been a dog. If there were still people, you'd have a satellite dish. That's how you can see it in Bulgaria. Don't move abroad if you don't wish to learn beyond your own borders. Don't move abroad if you never want to change your field of work, because at some point you might have to change work just to put bread on the table, unless you're a petroleum engineer or someone with a very well-paid profession who people are very desperate to get on board, perhaps a developer. You could stay in the same profession. But if you just have some general education, like I do, business administration, you have to be prepared to switch a few times. Although I am still in the sort of business administration, I've had to jump around for a few times, because the job market is not that big. And you have to be prepared to make ends meet abroad. You hold the sole responsibility of putting food on the table. Don't count on any government. Even though at some point it might help, don't count on it too much. So don't move abroad if you're not ready for full self-dependence, self-reliance. If you're not prepared to be accountable for that. Don't move abroad if you and your family are not ready for it. If you are the only breadwinner in your family and you want to build a house somewhere, you take a risk. A risk that is hanging upon your shoulders. Are you willing to take responsibility for that? It depends on you. Don't move abroad if you have very deep-rooted anxiety issues. If you're prone to anxiety attacks, because these can be a fundamental issue and have to be dealt with first. As I said, life abroad makes you experience twice as intense emotions, and you have to be prepared to deal with that. Your anxiety attack at home might seem bad, but imagine if it's bad if you lose your job in another country and perhaps you have children. Makes it worse. And don't move abroad unless you want to make that call, unless you're willing to take some uncertainty into your life. Because moving abroad, it's all one big question mark. Will you actually go? Will you stay? Will you meet the love of your life? Will you like your boss? Will you hate your boss? Will you be very homesick or not? Will you stay as healthy as you are? Will you hate the people that you're surrounded with? Or your roommates? Or the weather? Do you hate the food? Do you love the food? It's one big question mark. And that question mark, you probably don't have it in your own country. At least to a lesser extent. You might have one question mark in regards to your life in your home country. One question mark if you're from a developed country, if you're from a slightly more undeveloped country, you'd have 2 question marks. You have no idea what you're going to do. Or perhaps that's not quite certain. I guess if you're from an undeveloped country, there's a chance that you'll do the same as your father. Being a blacksmith, being whatever sort of trade. There's more certainty in that regard. We in the West have the choices that are sometimes debilitating, especially for young people nowadays. So let's say when you stay in your own country, you have 1 question mark, no matter where you are. If you move abroad, that's 2 question marks for your life. Twice as intense, twice as many questions, twice as many uncertainties, and twice as many rewards. Because it's not all negative. Look at where I'm walking. Look at my other videos. It's mostly positive. So, on the other side of the coin, on the flip side, the rewards are twice as big as well. If you actually manage to get a job abroad, a good job abroad, you'll feel twice as proud of yourself. If you learn a language, you'll be twice as proud as if you had only learned English. If you manage to make friends, you'll be twice as proud as if you did in your own country. You'll enjoy your vacations twice as much. You'll enjoy having relationships a lot more. It will be twice as intense, both for the lows and the highs. So I would say, don't move abroad if you're fine with the rewards that you have right now. If there's no need for them to be twice as intense. Just ignoring the lows. If the highs, if the rewards in your life right now are good enough for you, don't move abroad. Because I would say, keep it simple. If something's good, it's good. And cherish what you have. The grass is not always greener. Perhaps it's even browner on the other side. It's all a question mark. Are you willing to change that question mark into an exclamation mark? Like I have done. You need to be prepared to fight for it. Not for just the move, but for every day in your new country. And for every day after you come back. Because you will get questions. You will have explanations to give. You will have a hard time resettling in your own country once you come back. If that exclamation mark calls for your attention more than the question mark, you might have to consider moving abroad. If for all intents and purposes you don't want to move after what I've said in this video, perhaps don't do it. Or perhaps not right now. I hope that helps you to set yourself out on your journey. Take care.